The real truth about the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. We've all heard that the 13th Amendment ended slavery in America, but what really happened? Who was freed and who wasn't? Why did it take so long? And why does one phrase in this amendment still affect millions of Americans today? This is the real story behind the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. What the 13th Amendment says. The 13th Amendment was ratified on December 6, 1865, and it said this: neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, shall exist within the United States. That one clause, except as a punishment for crime, would go on to shape the future of incarceration in America. But in 1865, this was a revolutionary change that aimed to end slavery across the nation once and for all. Who was actually freed under the 13th Amendment? It's a myth that Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation freed all enslaved people. It only applied to the rebellious southern states, not places like Kentucky, Missouri, Maryland, or Delaware, which remained loyal to the Union and kept slavery legal. It wasn't until the 13th Amendment that over 4 million Black Americans were freed in every state, including the so-called loyal slaveholding states. Getting the 13th Amendment passed wasn't easy. The first time it was introduced in 1864, it failed. But after Lincoln's re-election, momentum grew. On January 31st, 1865, it passed the House, barely. Lincoln himself lobbied Congress for votes. Then it went to the states. On December 6, 1865, enough states ratified it, making it law. Secretary of State William Seward certified it on December 18, 1865. Slavery, at least on paper, was over. The fight for the 13th Amendment was led by a determined group: Abraham Lincoln, whose views evolved as the war continued, radical Republicans like Thaddeus Stevens and Charles Sumner, who wanted not just abolition, but full equality, and Frederick Douglass, whose words and actions inspired a nation. Let's not forget the Black soldiers, more than 180,000 strong, who fought for a country that didn't yet recognize them as free. They helped win the war and their own liberation. Many were against the amendment. Northern Democrats feared social change and economic upheaval. Slaveholding border states, especially Kentucky, fiercely resisted. In fact, Kentucky didn't ratify the 13th Amendment until 1976, and Mississippi only officially recorded its ratification in 2013. Others simply refused to accept Black freedom, laying the groundwork for the backlash that would follow during Reconstruction. Juneteenth and slow freedom. Even after emancipation was declared and the 13th Amendment passed, many enslaved people were not informed or freed immediately. In Texas, it took until June 19, 1865, what we now call Juneteenth, for Union troops to arrive and enforce freedom. And in remote areas, slavery continued well into 1866, despite being technically illegal. The fight for freedom didn't end with a signature. It had to be enforced, lived, and defended. The punishment clause in prison labor. There's one clause in the 13th Amendment that changed everything, except as a punishment for crime. Southern states exploited this loophole. They passed Black codes, criminalizing minor behaviors like vagrancy. Newly freed Black people were arrested, convicted, and leased out as laborers. This gave rise to convict leasing, a new system of slavery under another name, and it's why mass incarceration disproportionately affects Black Americans to this day. Stories you didn't know. Here are a few things you might not know. Lincoln didn't live to see final ratification. He was assassinated in April 1865. Women abolitionists like Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, and Lucretia Mott played a key role even though they couldn't even vote. Many freed people remained enslaved illegally with no recourse. And despite its passage, the 13th Amendment didn't give Black people citizenship. That required the 14th Amendment, or the right to vote, which came with the 15th. Where we are now. The 13th Amendment was a beginning, not an end. It took down slavery, but did not destroy white supremacy, racial inequality, or systemic oppression. Its loophole still echoes in today's criminal justice system. To understand freedom in America, we must confront the full truth, that even liberty must be fought for, over and over again. If you learned something new, share this video. Don't just remember the 13th Amendment, understand it. Until all are free, none of us truly are free.